My name is William. I'm a 27-year-old photographer with no real claim to fame. My older brother Richard, who was 5 years my senior, got me into photography. To be honest, making ends meet takes up all my energy, and I can't even think about starting a family. My parents passed away in a tragic accident when I was in high school. Ever since then, it's just been Richard and me. I like to think that we have a deeper bond than most siblings. But Richard passed away 3 years ago as well. William, I've decided to get married. That's what he told me 4 years ago, when he introduced me to a woman named Linda. She seemed very calm and gentle, a perfect fit for kind-hearted Richard. However, Richard didn't want a big wedding ceremony, perhaps because he had lost our parents. They had a private ceremony overseas, so I never got to know Linda's family or friends. I sometimes wonder if things would have turned out differently if I had known more about her social circle. About a year after Richard got married, I got an abrupt call from him. "I've got 1 month to live." Are you joking? That's not funny, you know? After losing our parents, Richard was the only family I had left. I was furious that Richard would make such a horrible joke, but his tone remained steady. It's terminal cancer. It spread everywhere, and there's nothing that can be done. No way. My hands started shaking so badly I almost dropped my phone. Holding back tears, I struggled to continue the conversation. "I wanted to keep my promise to you." "Well, you can't go breaking it now, can you?" That's all I could say before hanging up, my phone slipping through my hands as I fell to my knees and broke down in tears. 3 months later, Richard joined our parents. Although he was given just 1 month, he had held on for 3. At his funeral, I couldn't hold back the tears, crying openly. Linda acted strong, and there I was, so utterly pathetic. Years have passed, and I'm still not over Richard's death. We had promised to keep on living, and I could only get through our parents' death because I had him. Now, I'm as lonely as a cloud. I don't even have anyone to talk to about family. I inherited some of Richard's estate, but I can't bring myself to touch the money. I have most of Richard's belongings as keepsakes, but I'm not emotionally ready to look at them. 2 years seem much shorter than I thought they would be. And now the anniversary memorial for Richard is upon us. I tell myself that I need to move on, deciding to face life head-on after the ceremony is over. Then, Linda stops me. She dropped a bombshell with a smile on her face. "This will be the last time we gather for the memorial service. Please don't contact me anymore." "Wait, what do you mean? Since Richard is gone, there's no reason for us to stay connected." You mean... I mean, let's cut ties. It's better for the both of us." Linda said that and laughed. It's only been 2 years. I wanted to say that, but the words wouldn't come out. Sure, Linda is still young and might want to remarry. I get that, but still, something feels off. I couldn't wrap my head around it, feeling uneasy as I ended the anniversary memorial and went home. Alone, I sighed. I decided to move on after the anniversary memorial, but it seems I'm not ready yet. Were Linda's words sincere? And why did she say them with a smile? Well, it is what it is. I thought about it, but couldn't figure it out. I just went to sleep. A week later, I was still feeling unresolved and started to get irritated with myself. I need a drink tonight. I decided to head to the bar where Richard and I used to go. Walking downtown, I saw a familiar woman walk by. It was Linda, arm in arm with another man. She looked different, not the demure Linda I knew, but one that fit the vibrant nightlife. Not that it's any of my business, but this bothered me even more. When I got to the bar, there were no other customers, perhaps because it was still early. "William, long time no see." Being one of the few who knew about Richard and me, I started venting to the bartender. At the end he said, "You know, if you keep grieving like this, it would make your brother sad too." Hearing it in such a gentle tone made me cry. From that day on, I managed to face forward. The next day, I opened a box containing Richard's photography equipment that I had kept as a memento. This is the most important thing. Inside was the camera Richard had always used. I had wanted it when Lette said she did and had asked for it as a favor. I had opened the box several times to air it out, but picking it up and using it felt like admitting Richard was really gone, so I hadn't been able to. Now I finally picked it up and felt its weight. I'll be using Richard's prized camera from now on. Richard's not here anymore, so we can't take new photos together. In that sense, the promise to publish a photo book together will never be fulfilled. But any photo taken with this camera will feel like it was taken with him. I carefully unpacked the box and started arranging its contents one by one. As I pulled the camera out of its case, something else fell out along with it. Picking it up, I realized it was a letter addressed to me. It had been folded multiple times, probably to disguise it as something else and tucked into the camera case. Upon unfolding it, it was addressed to William, and the contents revealed information I'd never heard before, suggesting it was written after a terminal diagnosis. It said that I was listed as the beneficiary for a life insurance policy, and advised me to verify it, as the wife might have changed the beneficiary. I later found out this insurance policy had been in place since my high school days, back when we lived together. A surprisingly large sum had been set aside, apparently with the thought that I'd be in trouble if something happened to him. I hadn't claimed any of the insurance money. Could Lette have? I know nothing about Lette's social circle. I could ask her directly, but I hesitate to contact her now. Still, it would be wrong to ignore Richard's wishes. I decided to honor his intentions, and dial Lette's number, which I had yet to delete. Who is this? The voice that answered was lethargic and not the Lette I knew. Nevertheless, I began to speak. Lette? It's me, William. Huh? Didn't I say to stop contacting me? She seemed like a completely different person, but then it struck me. This might be the real her. Let's cut to the chase. You committed insurance fraud, didn't you? What are you talking about? You claimed Richard's life insurance, right? Life insurance? Of course, I'm his wife. Why shouldn't I? The policy was supposed to be in my name. What? That's not true. I claimed it, so I am the beneficiary. What is this? You short on cash or something? This confirmed my suspicions about her true nature, and I had been completely blind to it. But did Richard see it after they got married? Naturally, a spouse would be the beneficiary after marriage. Maybe you were before we got married, but I was the beneficiary when he passed. Now, I can live comfortably thanks to that. Her laughter irked me. Stop messing around. What do you think of Richard? That's none of your business. It was a matter between spouses. Don't contact me again. I looked at the screen of my phone after she hung up and sighed. A month later, Lette appeared before me, just as I'd expected. Long time no see, William. Before me stood the Lette I first met. Remarkable how people can change. What do you want? I replied, clearly annoyed. So there are other things left behind by him, right? I have a right to those too, don't I? Ah, are you talking about the photo book? Yes, royalties. I have a right to receive some too, don't I? What? Why? Because I was his wife, that's why. To give you the backstory, this all began sometime after Richard passed away. Sitting before me is Brown, from the publishing house. Brown had known Richard for a long time and came to me with the idea of creating a photo book from our collected works. He had the data from the camera Richard used, and they had been in discussions about it. However, when Richard died, the project stalled. Then after reading a letter Richard had sent from the hospital, Brown decided he wanted to complete the photo book. Of course, I was all in. Richard and I had always promised to someday publish our work together. Whether it sold well or not wasn't the issue. We just wanted to leave something tangible behind. So we went ahead and published it. To be frank, the book by two unknown artists didn't sell. I continued my modest lifestyle until one day, everything changed. Brown contacted me to say that our book had suddenly become popular online. Is it possible that a photo book from 2 years ago becomes a hot topic? I had my doubts about this, but when I looked it up on the internet, I found that the photo book was indeed a hot topic. A well-known influencer had praised it on social media and the posts had gone viral. The book's newfound fame also secured the publication of another photo book, elevating me to a full-fledged photographer. And that's when Lette, eyeing the royalties, showed up at my door. This is where my counterattack begins. That book was something Richard and I wanted to publish. I don't want you tainting it. Just go away. Don't give me that idealistic talk. The royalties are split, right? That means I have the right to some. It's clear her only interest is in the money. I am furious. What does she think Richard meant to her? We had cut ties, and yet here she is making demands. Let's talk about the insurance money instead. Insurance money? Can we not? That's not important right now. It is important, but fine. Let's stick to the photo book. That was self-published, so there are no royalties. However, my new book is bringing in lots of royalties. What? What are you talking about? There is no money for you to take. Moreover, you're facing fraud charges over the insurance money. What will you do? I didn't commit any fraud. Are you still going on about that? What about the $300,000 you received? Your name was on it, but she interrupts me. So, it's my money. But Richard changed that just before he passed. I can get handwriting analysis results anytime. I am done beating around the bush. Linda's face visibly changes as I get to the point. Handwriting analysis? You started looking into the insurance money when Richard was hospitalized. You found out that I was the beneficiary. If Richard were to pass away, you would get nothing. So you changed the beneficiary without Richard's permission. Linda backs away, her face pale. I show no mercy. Richard left me a letter. He must have seen through you changing the recipient on your own. That's why I had a handwriting analysis done. I have all the evidence I need. You must be mistaken about something. You knew about Richard's insurance policy, didn't you? And got blinded by the payout. Richard's letter mentioned that your personality changed dramatically after the insurance money became a topic. Linda glares at me, but doesn't say a word. You hardly talked about anything else with Richard once you found out, huh? You knew he didn't have much time left and only saw dollar signs. You underestimated Richard. Cut the crap. It's not like that. What's different then? Richard tried to divorce you, but you dodged the conversations. Eventually, Richard was left helpless. The only reason Richard didn't tell me while he was alive is that he still wanted to believe you weren't like that. You betrayed that trust. I bet you'd have changed your lifestyle and even became flashy the moment you got that insurance money. That's cruel to say. Linda tries to retort, but she's lost her spirit. So, can I sue you? Insurance fraud is serious business. But I won't, if you pay it all back. Pay it all back? I've already spent nearly $100,000. What am I supposed to do? It seems Linda has admitted to her guilt. But where did she spend such a large sum in such a short time? So you finally admit it. What's your next move? I witnessed the color draining from Linda's face for the first time as she collapses on the spot. I get it. I'll find a way to pay it all back. Later, I received the full $300,000. Linda sold all the luxury items she had bought with the insurance money. Apparently, she mainly squandered it on some guy and couldn't prepare much. She ended up going to her parents for help. Her father called to apologize, saying they'd cover the rest. Linda now works from dawn to dusk under her parents' watchful eyes to repay them. As for me, I've secured a book deal and royalties are coming in. I'm thriving as a photographer. All thanks to Richard.